Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Galo, and right now we're going to give one more minute while we were waiting for a few more people to join, and that's it for the moment. Okay, so now that we did wait a couple minutes, I'm going to proceed with the presentation. Okay, so hi everyone, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where in the world you're watching us. I'm Galo, I'm a consultant at the Sphinx, and the purpose of this webinar today is to present our tool named Declic, which is a tool of survey creation, data analysis, and data visualization, all of this online. So for those who don't know us, I want to talk a bit about Les Sphinx. So Les Sphinx is a French company that has over 35 years of experience. And nowadays we are present in 50 countries. Right now we have offices in countries such as Spain, France, Brazil, Canada, Tunisia, Germany, and Poland. And with this, and this means that nowadays we have more than 50, 100,000 users worldwide, going from big companies, universities, freelancers, etc. So as you can see here, these are some of the companies that collaborate with us. You can see that many countries across different sectors trust in our solutions. However, we mostly collaborate with companies that do market research or HR consultants. And also, one of our most important partners are also universities. Many professors use our tools, for example, for their sociology, marketing, or psychology classes. And also, many students use our tools when they have to do some investigation report or for other types of projects. So the applications of our tool can have like a lot of applications, but first I'm going to talk about the experiences. First, we have customer experience to know, for example, if a customer like did enjoy buying at a specific shop or at a restaurant, etc. Then we have patient experience, which happens in clinics and hospitals. And then we have employee experience. And in this case, our tool is used, for example, to do some 360-degree evaluations, psychosocial risk factor analysis, and others. Then we have market research, which is the main reason why our tool is used. Then we have product testing. For example, let's say that a brand wants to launch, for example, a new flavor, a new packaging, wants to do like a new rebranding of the whole brand, all of this. And they are going to use our tool to test this new thing they are trying to do. And finally, as I mentioned before, we have academic research because many universities, professors, and students use our tool for their classes or for their research projects. So now talking a bit more about the click, about the tool. First, we have the online survey creation. Bear in mind that all this tool is online. So for this, in the first place, what we have is you can create a tool online. And for example, as you can see in here, you have some of the types of questions you can create with the tool. For example, you have closed questions, scale questions, open-ended questions. For example, you can enter text, date, postal codes. Also, you have scale questions. You have like unique choices, multiple choice for closed questions. And all of this, it's to all of this is also very important to add that you can program the survey in multiple languages, which is something really important if you have clients across different countries, different continents, etc. Then, after the module of survey creation, we have the data collection module. And for data collection, first we have the online collection. In this case, for example, you have responsiveness because the survey is going to be adapted to the tool where it's going to be open. For example, it could be a laptop, a desktop computer, a cell phone, a tablet, etc. Then in the tool, uh, with the click, you can manage your own emailing and SMS campaigns. You can send reminders, you can track who did answer, who did not, all of this. Then you can create your own QR code. Then with an iframe, you can incorporate the survey into a website as one of those like pop-up that appear when you enter a website, for example. And finally, you have social media. Obviously, you can send the link through social media. Then you can import your own data. For example, let's say that you have an Excel, SPSS, SSS, CSV file, and you can import this file into the Click in order to later analyze it. And also you can do the same with the transcriptions of focus groups and interviews, which is something very important and very useful if you run a lot of qualitative research. And finally, we have the connections, because with a Sphinx, you can incorporate an external panel, and also with an API, you can incorporate your own CRM or any other information system with important information from your clients or others. All of this is important to add that is multilingual. Then after this, we are going to go to as you can see here on the left, to the data management module, where, for example, you can uh, you're going to see the answers of the survey, all of this, and you can manage them. And finally, and then we have the statistical analysis module, where, for example, in here, you are going to do the quantitative analysis. And as you can see in here, for example, you can do a lot of types of analysis. For example, you have multivariate analysis, univariate and bivariate analysis. You can create tables, you can do crosstab analysis. And for example, in this module, you can do linear regression, factorial analysis, you can create your own clusters or groups, all of this. And finally, regarding the data analysis module, we have the text analysis. For example, for some uh, qualitative data. For example, in this case, you have verbatim codification, you can create a word cloud, you can do a thematic analysis by dictionary, you can analyze expressions, all of this. And after this module, you have the data visualization module, where you are going to be able to create your own dashboards, infographics, reports, or others, and you are going to be able to download them and to send them to your clients, to your managers, or other types of stakeholders you do have. All of this is important to add that you can also do them like in multiple languages if you have like clients in multiple countries. So what does this mean? So this basically means that Declic is going to be a tool that is going to be with you through all the research project. For example, first, it's going to help you create a survey in multiple languages. Then with the tool, you can send the link of the survey through multiple channels. Then you collect the answers, and with the collected answers, you are going to run the quantitative and qualitative analysis with DataViv. And finally, you have the data visualization module, where you can create your own reports, your own dashboards, infographics, etc. And this is very important because we know, for example, that many companies, freelancers, for example, use different tools. For example, they use one tool for survey creation, then they use another tool for the data analysis, and then for data visualization, they use another tool. And sometimes this can be a hassle because, for example, since people are changing from one tool to another for each step of the research process, they are wasting time, and also some important information can be missing in all the switching from one tool to another. So now that I did present a little overview of what a Sphinx is, I wanna get I want to present the tool. In this case, since this is an online tool, I'm going to go to Sphinx Declic. So this is how the website of the tool. You can see here, all of this that you see in here are the projects that I have at the moment. And for example, let's say that I want to create a new project. So what I'm going to do in this case is going to go here to new project, and you have like different types of options in order to create your project. For example, you can create a blank study from scratch, you can duplicate an existing survey, you can use your own template, or you can import another Sphinx survey. So for example, in this case, I would like to create a study from zero. So I'm going to choose this, and let's name it, for example, Sphinx Sports. Sphinx Sports. I click here in next, and for example here I would like to do my survey in English, or for example you can also add all the languages in you would like to do your survey, for example in Spanish, in I don't know, for example in French. Like here you can choose like all the languages you would like to add. For example, in this case I will choose Spanish, and then you can choose your own template. As you can see in here, you have a variety of templates you can use. For example, in this case, I want to do like kind of like a more sober template. So I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to validate this. And here we have the survey module. As you can see in here, first you have like the overview. In this place, you are going to see the general information. For example, how many questions your questionnaire already have, to how many people you already sent it, how many answers you have. Then this is like the the survey creation module where you're going to create a survey. Then you have the distribution where you're going to manage the distribution of the survey through different channels, for example, QRs, links, emailing campaigns. Then you have the data module, the data management module, and then you have the analysis and the reporting module. But first, I'm going to show you the survey creation module. So for example, let's say that I have a sports clothing company and I want to create a survey about the impressions people have about my brand and if they know it. So for example, in this case, I would like first to customize my survey because it's very important to add that you can customize your own surveys. You can add your own images, you can create your own color palettes, which is very important. For example, let's say if you have like a very important client and the client wants you to use their own colors, their own logos, all of this, you can do that in this tool. For example, in order to customize, I will go here first, and let's say on the top of page, I want to put the logo of the company. In this case, it's going to be Sphinx Sports. I will apply, and then I will put here Sphinx Sports as the header that is going to appear in every single page in the survey. And also I'm going to change the color of the font. As you can see, this is going to appear as this. So right now I would like to start adding the sections and the questions of the survey. So for example, I will go here to modify the description of the page. So for example, the first section, I would like it to be about awareness. So I'm going to type here brand awareness, and it's going to be here. And in this section right now, I would like to add the first question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to add, and I'm going to add a question. So for example, in this case, I would like to ask them if these people know the brand Sphinx sports. So I'm going to type my question. Do you know Sphinx sports? And with this, I'm going to, and then I'm going to write the options, the of answers. For example, in this case, I know it very well. Then I know it somewhat. Then I've only heard about it. And finally, I never heard about it. And I'm going to click here. Oh, first, I'm going to give a name to the variable before I forget. So in this case, awareness. And I want this question to be a mandatory response. So I'm going to click here in OK. And this is how the question is going to be presented. However, as you can see here, you have like clickable buttons as the option on how the answers are presented. However, you can edit them and you can choose the option you would like the most. For example, in this case, you can also have the option to, for example, choose checkboxes, post-its, images, icons, drag and drop, and many others. But in this case, I just want like a checkbox. And for example, this is like a question only with one answer, so I'm not going to allow to have multiple answers. So I'm going to click here in OK. Then I'm going to add a new page. And for example, in this page, I want to talk a bit more about perception. So I'm going to add a title here. And well, as you can see in here, like in the second page, also the title and the logo of the brand is also appearing. So well, in this section, I want to ask the following. I go to the question and I want this question to be uh, drag and drop. So in this case, I am going to ask which of the following words do you associate with Sphinx sports? I'm going to give a name to my variable, associations, and for example, I would like to allow multiple answers, and you can also choose if you want to have like a limited number of answers, or if the person can choose all the options you're giving to them. For example, I would write here innovation, then trust, then low price, then high quality, and that's it. Quality, and I want this to be a mandatory response. So I click here in OK, and this is how the question is going to be presented. Then I want to create another new section, for example, a new page as I did before. And now I want to talk about brand evaluation, and I am going to do a scale question. Brand evaluation, click here in OK, and I am going to add here a question. So for example, in this case, the I would like to ask the population how much do they agree with like some statements. So uh, I'm gonna ask them, how much do you agree with the following statements? Statements. So in this case, I'm going to go here to the option where you have table questions. And in this case, I am going to choose a checkbox table. And for example, in here, I already have some options that are like already predefined. However, you can add your own. And in this case, since it's a question about like how much do you agree with the following statements, I am going to choose this option that is like strongly disagree, disagree, agree, and strongly agree. So as you can see in here, all the options are already appearing up here. So for example, I will add my sub question one that is going to be, it offers quality products, then it is a brand I trust, then it stands out from its competitors, and finally, it offers good value for money. I click here as a mandatory response, and I am going to put here the name of the variable statements. And you're going to have your table right here. And then for the last question I am going to create here in Declic is going to be a question about like consumer habits. So I'm gonna add here a new page, habits. And here I would like to add a new question. In this case, since I want to make the question like a bit more visual, a bit more interactive, I am going to be using icons, images. So for example, in this case, I am going to choose the option for images. And my new question is going to be, what type of sportswear do you usually buy? And in this case, my modalities are going to be shorts, then t-shirts, then sweatpants, and finally, sneakers. So I'm going to name this variable clothes, and I already have the modalities, but I don't have the icons, the images. And the thing is that here in Declic, you can import your own images, or you can use your the images that already come within the tool. So for example, in this case, I already chose some images that I already like uploaded before. So I'm going to choose these ones. For example, what I'm going to do here for the option shorts, I am going to grab the image of shorts and I am going to drop them here in the modality. The same for t-shirts, sweatpants, and then sneakers. I will allow multiple answers, and I want this to be a mandatory response. So I click here in OK. But as you can see in here, you still need to adjust the presentation of the icons. So what I'm going to do in this case, I am going to customize the size. For example, here is in automatic. I am going to put the images in size 12. And I don't want the questions like to be one on the top of the other. So I am going to the option of displaying several columns. And right now we have two columns, but I want them four because I only want them to be shown like in one row. So I'm going to click four, click here in OK, and it's already done, as you can see in here. So now I'm going to show you how this survey looks like. It's a test mode. So for example, I have here English and Spanish. So first here, and this question, then the next, drag and drop, all of this, agree, disagree, and then you can choose the options that you would like to choose for the last question. But however, for example, let's say that in the first question, the person like chose the last option that is like I never heard about it. So since this person never heard about the brand before, it doesn't make any sense that they keep answering the survey. So this is why in the tool you are going to be able to create jumps. So for example, since in this case, for example, the last option like doesn't work for us, so I'm going to define a jump. So for example, in this case, I will go jump, add here. And for example, in this question, after one, do you know Sphinx Sports? Complete the question or whatever the answer after the question, whatever the response. In this case, if, do you know Sphinx Sports is among, I never heard about it and I only heard about it and never heard about it, this is going to go to the end of the questionnaire. And to the questionnaire, you're going to click here and that's it. And we're going to test this here. So we go here to English. And for example, let's say that I am going to put the last option. I never heard about it. Next, and it's already the end of the questionnaire. It's not going to continue. You can also do the same, for example, if you want like a certain question to appear depending on the answers of previous questions, or if certain modalities within the answers appear after after the respondent answer a certain way the questions before. So this is basically a little bit of the survey creation module, but this is not it. We still have like something a bit more to present about like this specific part. So for example, here, this is like the design, obviously, but then here you have the structure, which is a little bit of an overview about the questions and the survey in general. And then, as I mentioned before, you have the option to create your survey in multiple languages. So for example, I did choose Spanish, and for example, I also can choose French. But in this case, then you will have to do the translation, but like, don't worry about it. It's going to be easy. Let's say that I already have the questionnaire, the survey in English, and I also want to launch the survey in a Spanish speaking country. So for example, in this case here, I am going to do the translation, which is going to be done automatically. You just need to click here, machine translation, and it's going to be translated to the language you want. And as you did see, our software like runs a lot of languages. But for example, here, since the brand doesn't have to change the name, you can just like correct it if you need it, because at the end, the translations are just a suggestion. You can still correct the options that the tool is giving to you and all of this. At the end of you, like everything depends on you. So then after this, you have the access, and for example, you want to define an open period for people to answer the questionnaire from like 1 day to like X day at this time, or you just like want to close all access to your survey, or you just like want to open it. And finally, here you have your own quotas. You can define your own quotas. All of this depends on what you want. Then we have the distribution module. Here I'm going to stop for a little bit. First you have email and SMS. Then you have direct link. Then you have QR code. And finally you have web integration. I am going to be explaining with a bit more in detail the first two options, the email and SMS and the direct link. So for example, let's say that you would like to send an emailing campaign to your clients. So I am going to go here. I'm going to choose email, or you have the option like to send it like right now or delayed, or you can create a recurring sending. So then you give a name to your campaign, and you give your sending mail that it's only going to be visible to you. So I click here in next. And the thing here is that you are going to be able to create your own templates within Sphinx. For example, you have multiple options. You can choose the one that is like the one that adapts better to what you're looking for. So for example, in this case, I am going to choose this one. And for example, this is going to be a satisfaction survey. Satisfaction survey. And for example, you are going to be able to edit, add your own links, all of this. For example, if you would like to add a little bit more of text here in the right, I mean in the left, you have some stuff you can add. For example, you have the option to add like text bubbles. So in this case, I am just going to click on text, I am going to drag, and I am going to drop it here. For example, in this case, you can add a bit more of context about the survey you're doing and all of this. Also, for example, here in the end, you can also incorporate your own social media. If you want, if you're like very cautious about like data protection and all of this, you can add your GDPR, GDPR policy, all of this. You can also add your own images, all of this. And for example, here you are going to have a sender mail, a sender name. So for example, in this case, I would like to name it Sphinx Sports. And the email subject, let's say that it's going to be satisfaction survey. So then I am going to click here in next. And well, as you can see in here, now this is where you're going to send the survey to your database. And for example, you have the option to enter the recipients manually or with copy and paste, or also you can import certain documents, or you can use the databases that you already use for another survey. In this case, I am going to import a recipient file, and I want to show you in this case an example of a format. So this is the example in Excel. So here I am going to select the file, emailing, and here we can control, and we are going to see all our Excel file in this case. So I will click here in next. And the thing here, for example, the software is recognizing that, for example, these variables are not part of my survey. So for example, in this case, let's say that I also would like to know the sex, the age, and the city from which the respondents are coming from. So I'm going to click here in save, and it's going to be added to the database. And for example, here you can control if you are going to send to all the uncontacted people, to all the recipients of the database, or how many, or to the people that already answer, or you can create a custom selection of people you would like to send the survey. So here you can do some settings. For example, here you can, for example, if you only want one unique response, or if you want multiple responses of the same person, all of this, you can personalize it. And finally here, you're going to have the option to send your campaign now, or if you would like to send it later. In this case, let's say I want to send it now. I click here in accept, I validate, and the campaign is going to be sent. So then here, as you can see, I already sent my campaign. Here at the top, you are going to have all the important information regarding your emailing campaign. So here you're going to have the total people you did send, how many people were not reached, how many people did complete the survey, how many people entered the survey but like didn't finish it, how many people simply just like enter and exited, and how many people are still pending from receiving the survey, and how many people are like currently doing the survey. So in the end, you're going to have your return rate. So after this, it's very important to add that you can also send a reminder based on the survey that you on the emailing that you already sent. And here you can control the recipients, the response type, the sending statistics, all of this. But, and now I'm going to explain the other channel that is going to be direct linked. So for direct link, I'm going to click here. And for example, let's say I want to send this link because I am going to add the link in a post on Twitter. So I click here, and this is the link you're going to have. You copy the link and then just like paste it on your Twitter, on your tweet. And also you can do the same for other social networks. For example, let's say Facebook. And that's it. This is like the other link that you're going to have. So we go back here to all channels and you're going to have an overview of all the channels you're using to collect the data. Then here in data, you are going to have the information of the people that already answered, but like since this is a survey and like I already don't have answers, I am going to show you uh, I am going to show you here an example that is a project that is already done. For example, here I'm going to go to this project City Hall. And as you can see in here, you are going to see a summary of all the answers of all the respondents. So, well, then after this, we have the data analysis module. But before doing the demo of this module, I want to show you what you can achieve with this specific module. For example, this is a report of a fictional city named Sphinx City. And for example, as you can see, you have like different types of graphs. It's dynamic. You can filter. For example, if you choose like this option, then the other graphs are going to be filtered based on this information. All of this, you can add your own images, your own icons, your own logos, everything you need. You can also run, for example, NPS, customer satisfaction. In this sense, the tool is very dynamic and it's very interactive, as you can see. And that's it. So right now I'm going to proceed with the demo. So first, for example, in this case, what you have in the middle is going to be your working space, all of this area. And then here in the right, I mean, in the left, you are going to have all your variables. And here in the right, you can manage your variables. So for example, like how does this work? For example, uh, let's say in this case that I want to run some univariate analysis and I want to analyze, for example, my variable transports for mass transportation, public transportation. And as you can see in here, I just like click on it, I drag it and I drop it in my working space. So for example, as you did see in here, I already have my graph in here, but for example, let's say that I don't like how this graph is presented, all of this, but I also have the option to choose from from a variety of graphs. For example, if I want to present this as a pie chart, or if I want to present this as tree map, or for example, in the case that I want this to present this in a bit more visual, interactive way, and I can choose icons, images. So for example, in this case, everything are stars, as stars are the preset pictograms. However, I can still change them for every single one of the options here. So for example, here for walk, I am going to choose a foot. Then for scooter, uh, scooter here, then a train, then a car, then a bus, then a bike, and finally a motorcycle. And here I have all my icons. However, I still would like to improve the presentation of this. So what I'm going to do here, I will change the image fill, and instead of being horizontal, I'm going to show this in vertical, and this is going to be how it is going to be presented, as you can see in here. As you can see in here, and also you can adapt because, for example, right now the value is showing the percentages. However, I don't need the percentages. Instead, I would like to know the frequency. So I am going to show the frequency in this case. But at the moment, I'm going to stick with percentages. So then after this, for example, then with the scale variables, I am going to choose, for example, cleanliness, and I would like to know on a scale from 1 to 4 how citizens from the city are satisfied with the cleanliness of the street and public spaces in the neighborhood. So, for example, in this case, I have a semicircle donut chart, but however, this doesn't mean a lot to me. I just want the number, and for this, I'm going to choose the value indicator. And as you can see in here, I have the mean. In here, I have the mean of the satisfaction with the cleanliness on a scale from 1 to 4. Then, however, for example, let's say that with the variable transports, I don't need all of this because I already did see it. However, I would like to know like a specific number or a specific or a bit more of a specific data from all this analysis. So for example, let's say I would like to know the most cited modality in all the surveys. So for example, in this case, I'm also going to choose the option to put a value indicator. And in this case, it is appearing the effective responses, but however, I have the option to choose from a lot of possibilities. And for example, in this case, I am going to choose the most quoted modality, which in this case was car. It's also very important to add that, for example, in this module, you can change, for example, the color palette. For example, you already have the color palettes that come with the Declic, but also you can create your own. For example, in this case, I don't like any of these colors and I would like to choose my own colors or edit them. So for example, in this case, I would like a bit more of a blue and it's going to be appearing like that. And finally, for example, let's say on my scale variables, service quality, I am going to drag it, then I'm going to drop it here. I'm going to make this a bit smaller. And however, I want this type of presentation, and here you can, here in advance, you can store your variable depending on the values. For example, I want to store the values on the mean. And for example, in this case, I want to show them like in ascending way. And it's going to change how it is presented. Also, for example, you can edit them here in options. And for example, let's say that you don't need the axes or the data labels or the legend. So as you can see, you can customize your all the graphs in here. So now I'm going to explain a bit of cross-tabulation analysis. So for example, in this case, I would like to compare, for example, service quality. I am going to click on my variable, drag it, and drop it in my working space, as you can see in here. But I want to know if there is like a relationship between what people are saying and the age of the citizens. So I'm going to click the variable age. I'm going to drag it, and I am going to drop here in cross. And as you can see, I already have this table. However, that's not everything, since for example, in here, you also have the option to add a chart or a graph. It's going to be automatic. In each of them, you can show like completely different things. For example, let's say in one, you would like to show the mean, but for example, you can also change it, for example, to the sum, the median, standard deviation, the minimum, the maximum number of responses. And in the other one, let's say that you want to show a complete different thing. For example, frequency, mean, whatever. It doesn't need to be the same. And you're going to be able to present the same cross analysis, but different different values, as you can see in here. A few months ago, we have AI analysis available on our tools, and right now I'm going to run a little bit of an AI analysis to show it to you. So, for example, let's say that I'm going to run another cross analysis, and for this, I am going to choose my variable transport, and I am going to cross it with the variable age in here. I'm gonna drag it, drop it here, and I'm going to have this graph. I can change it because I don't like that type of presentation, and I am going to sort the graph. Values, frequency, and I want them in a descending way. Yes. Or ascending. Um, well, before going to the AI analysis tool, for example, here you are going to have all the statistical values that you are going to need. For example, you have p-value, chi-square, and you're going to see the underrepresented elements, overrepresented elements, depending on what you need. So now that I did my graph and I did the cross analysis, I would like to know what this specific graph is telling me. So for this, what I'm going to do is click here in the AI analysis interpretation, and it's going to start interpretation. First, I will have to add a subject or the theme of my study. In this case, is this one, and then the objective of my study. So the tool can give a more precise answer, a more precise interpretation. So I'm going to click here, the result, and it's going to process. And here, as you can see, I already have the analysis. I will only read the first paragraph since otherwise I would finish like in 2 or 3 hours more. So, well, the general analysis, it says the data reveals varying preferences for transportation modes among different age groups. The younger population, particularly those aged 29 to 39, shows a higher inclination towards walking and the use of scooters, while older individuals tend to prefer buses and trains, with significant usage patterns emerging from the responses. So I would like to add this information to my report, and I'm going to click here in copy to a text area, and it's going to be added here. As you can see, it's a very long interpretation. However, you can still like personalize it. You can change the font size, make it like a bit bigger, whatever you need. And also, I would like to tell you that the AI interpretation is just a recommendation. You can still go through it, read it, and if you don't feel that the AI interpretation is like very precise, or if you would like to add some more information, you can do it. This is just a suggestion. In the end, like the one that is going to have like the control is going to be you. And well, then the tool is very useful, for example, if you would like to do an NPS analysis. So for example, for NPS, what I am going to do is go here where this plus sign is, and I am going to go to advanced analysis. As you can see in here, we have like different types of advanced analysis. First, we have satisfaction analysis, where you can do, for example, importance performance. NPS, then we have data analysis, where you can do correspondence factorial analysis, linear regression, principal component analysis. Then we have key views, for example, for strengths and weaknesses, table of characteristics. Then for classification, we have K-means and many others. And as you can see in here, all the analysis that appear with this icon on the top right are available for AI interpretation. So for example, in this case, since I'm doing NPS, I am going to choose this one, and I am going to choose my variable NPS. I'm going to click here in OK. And let's say I want this. I want to show like the average NPS. However, I also would like to see a bit more of a dynamic visualization of the NPS. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this. And in here, I am going to choose the option of distribution. And in this case, for example, you can see how the percentage of detractors, passives, or promoters based on the NPS responses. However, I would like to know what people are saying uh, based on their NPS. So for example, in this case, what I'm going to do is going to create a word cloud and then link it to the NPS. So for example, for this, what I am going to do is take my variable suggestions, the comments, I am going to put it here, as you can see. Then here, you are going to have your word cloud. And for example, let's say to the verbatims here, you would like to add some signatures, for example, because you would like to know the age and the gender of the person. And right now, I would like to filter since, for example, I would like to choose promoters. I want to see the comments of the promoters in here. And for this, what I'm going to do is go here to advanced. I'm going to go here to a scenario. I'm going to go to filter analysis. Based on what I click on here, it's going to change in here. So I will validate this. And now if we go to a preview, we're going to see this happening. For example, if I click here on the tractors, it's going to be here. All the comments from the detractors are going to be filtered and appear and be shown here. For example, here there's a lot of Christmas decorations, blah, blah, blah. A team of that thrives on its laurels and innovates little. As you can see, are like negative comments. And then here you have the promoters. For example, the municipal team performance is excellent, has recorded some great successes, and all of this. And finally, I am going to show you the verbatim codification using AI. So for this, what I am going to do is go to textual and semantic analysis. Here we're going to stop to just like see some of the analysis you can do here with Declic for um, qualitative data. For example, you have exploration, you have verbatims, a lot of keyword expression clouds. Then you have concept analysis, orientation of verbatims, keywords by context, expressions by context. And finally, you have the thematic analysis. First, you have the thematic analysis by dictionary, and the themes, orientations, crossings, and finally, the verbatim codification, which is going to be done using AI. In this case, I am going to click the variable I would like to analyze. So in this case, the comments. Click here in next. And for example, and now I'm here, I have like the categories, and here are going to be appearing the comments, and I will start like, and if I do this manually, I will have to create my own categories, my own themes, and do this like manually. And for example, taking into consideration that right now I like are almost 100 records, this is going to take a very long time. So for example, if I would like to save some time, I am going to go here to create a codebook. And let's say I want between 6 to 7 categories. I am going to create a codebook, validate, and as you can see in here, already all the new categories and themes are already created. However, this is just a suggestion. For example, you are still going to be able to create a new category. You can add more themes, or for example, on the options that the AI tool, AI interpretation already give you, you can still delete some of the suggestions they are giving you. You can add more themes, etc. So now that I already have all my themes suggested, I am going to go here to the option and to code all the uncoded observations. I click here and it's going to be coding. Oh, also to mention, the AI function works with tokens. So I'm going to start here the codification. And as you can see in here, like this comment is already codified. It's already added to the specific category and to the theme and to its respective theme. As you can see, this is already done. I click here in OK. And finally, here you are going to have the interpretation. So you can see, for example, in percentage, how many people are talking about public transport, the sub-themes of public transport, all of this, which is very useful if you, in fact, do have a lot of comments that you would like to codify. So right now, this has been all the presentation for today. But before leaving, I would like to invite you to scan this QR code and to try the tool for yourself. So thank you again. This has been everything for today, and I hope to see you soon again. Thank you.